This is how you treat your prized possession. This is how you treat your cash cow. This is how you treat your savior. This is how you treat the young woman responsible for elevating this unbelievably rancid turd. Well, Casey, why are you acting so surprised? We've always known that the WNBA doesn't know how to treat their stars properly. I'm not talking about the WNBA and the egregious way they treat the Great White Hope. Not only does this dump not know how to create stars, they also have no idea how to take care of them when someone else does all the work creating the star and literally hands the star to these clueless buffoons. But I'm not talking about the dump of dumps and their mistreatment of Caitlin Clark. This time, the disrespect, the outright defiance, it is coming from the president of the Indiana Felines, which means this is coming from Caitlin Clark's own team. If you were around in the 1990s, you're probably familiar with Jerry Krause, but I'll explain who he is for the kids in Gen Z LGBT. Jerry Krause was originally a scout for the Chicago White Sox, who eventually became the general manager for the Chicago Bulls. He became the GM in 1985, the year after Michael Jordan was drafted. Now, before Michael Jordan and Jerry Krause, the Bulls were a flaming ass fire. Obviously, Jordan was responsible for elevating them to greatness, but Jerry Krause, he was the mastermind when it came to building the team, building the roster. Without Jerry Krause, there would be no Phil Jackson. Although he was phenomenal when it came to building teams and scouting players, Jerry Krause had two main problems. Number one, he struggled relating to his star players. He struggled with how to treat his star players. And number two, Jerry Krause was extremely jealous of Phil Jackson and Michael Jordan. Is this starting to sound familiar? Is this starting to sound exactly like what's currently happening in the WNBA? Jerry Krause was bitter. He was jealous that Phil Jackson and Michael Jordan received all the credit for the Bulls dynasty. Now, to his credit, he was smart enough to realize that he could not survive without Michael Jordan, which, for reasons unknown, the WNBA and the Indiana Felines, they seem to be struggling to come to the same realization. But Jerry Krause, he was smart enough to realize that he couldn't survive without Jordan. But according to Jerry Krause, everyone else was replaceable. Scottie Pippen? Who cares? The league is filled with Scottie Pippens. Phil Jackson? Who gives a shit about Philip? The guy is weird. He worships Squanto and communicates through smoke signals. Dennis Rodman? Anyone can rebound. Horace Grant? He's going blind. He wears swimming goggles on the basketball court. In the mind of Jerry Krause, everyone not named Michael Jordan could be replaced, which was a real problem for Michael Jordan. You know, the guy responsible for elevating the franchise, the guy responsible for elevating the entire league. For years, the tension built between the superstar coach and superstar player and the general manager who was jealous of the credit they received. Going into the 97-98 season, Jerry Krause decides that he's had enough. He is dismantling the greatest dynasty in the history of sports and going directly into a rebuild. And the Chicago Bulls, they have been rebuilding for the last 27 years. If this could happen to the Chicago Bulls, it could happen to the WNBA, and it could damn sure happen to the Indiana Felines. The difference is the Felines don't have the same luxury. This is not a franchise that people are emotionally tied to. Before Caitlin Clark, This turd was lucky to draw 2,000 people a game. So I'm struggling to understand why you would butcher your cash cow. I'm struggling to understand why the Indiana Felines think they are the star. They are the draw. Make sure to like and subscribe. You can follow me on Twitter at KC_BTL84. Link to the second channel is in the description below. Yesterday on the second channel, talked about LeBron James being pushed out of Los Angeles and potentially out of the NBA. We also talked about the newest lead pastor at Woke United Methodist, the ongoing embarrassment at ESPN, crying Ryan Clark, and his weird obsession with RG3. His weird obsession with another dude. So if you haven't already, click the link in the description below, subscribe to the second channel. Kelly Krauskopf, who to my knowledge has no relation to Jerry. Kelly Krauskopf is the president of the Indiana Felines. Some kids dream of becoming president of the United States. Some kids dream of becoming president of a Fortune 500 company. Young Kelly, she had dreams of becoming president of a previously worthless pretend basketball franchise. From 2000 to 2017, Kelly was the general manager of the Indiana Felines. Now, to her credit, the team was a contender for the Golden Toilet almost every year. 12 consecutive playoff appearances, 2 trips to the WNBA Finals, and one glorious season in 2012 when the Felines won the WNBA Finals and secured off-season access to the Golden Throne. From 2018 to 2024, she was the assistant general manager for the Indiana Pacers. Kelly Krauskopf has a brilliant mind for basketball. Matter of fact, she's got dual brilliance. She's proficient in real basketball and pretend basketball, which is why I'm struggling to understand how someone so smart, so brilliant, could be so clueless. Friday, Kelly and some unknown dude. Well, with this being the WNBA, the unknown dude, he could be the latest recruit to join the Indiana Felines. Now, he was clean-shaven, but I'm sure Bob Greiner can let him borrow some Just for Men to handle that pesky problem. But anyway, Kelly and this dude, they were giving a press conference on Friday. During the press conference, President Kelly expresses her desire to sustain the growth and the interest level in the Indiana Felines. Now, that's a very smart strategy. And with this being the Sabbath, the day set aside for giving to others, Uncle KC will give President Kelly some free advice. If you're looking to sustain growth, if you're looking to sustain mainstream interest, do whatever it takes to keep Caitlin Clark happy. If she asks for 10,000 count bed sheets for maximum comfort, do it. But KC, those don't exist. Create them, invent them. If she asks for a tour of Mars along with 5-star accommodations, figure out a way to make it happen. I don't care if you have to build and staff a floating hotel. You do whatever it takes to ensure that Caitlin Clark is satisfied. But for some reason, President Kelly believes the Indiana Felines are the real draw. She believes the Felines are the brand. Matter of fact, she believes this dump of a franchise can be the Apple of the WNBA. Don't take my word for it. Watch for yourself.
We want to sustain the growth and the interest level in the franchise. I mean, this is about the Indiana Fever. Yes, we have a foundational player in Caitlin Clark and Leah Boston, and we're going to continue to add to that. But I want this team to be the leader in the country, and a brand, an enduring brand, like Apple.
Naturally, Caitlin Clark fans were pissed off about this. You got the president of the team talking about a rebrand when they only have a brand. This is like Jerry Krause in the late 90s talking about rebranding, rebuilding the Bulls. They have been working on that rebrand for the last 30 years. Caitlin Clark fans were pissed off about this, and they expressed their outrage on social media. They started tagging President Kelly in their tweets. This greedy corporation doesn't care about us. They don't care about their players. They're more concerned with tasting some doofus apple. I highly doubt President Kelly thought her comments would create outrage with the fan base, but that is how it usually happens. You say something not intending to piss people off, they get pissed off anyway, they voice their frustration, but what really matters is how you handle it. You gotta remember, this is the paying customer. These are the people supporting your franchise. There are several ways that President Kelly could have handled this. She could issue a statement clarifying her comments. She could ignore the outrage, knowing it would disappear in 48 hours. She could express her appreciation for Caitlin Clark and her fan base and explain that her intention is to build the Felines brand around the Caitlin Clark brand. There are countless ways you could handle this. So how does President Kelly handle this situation? She deletes her Twitter account. She disappears from the platform. Instead of confronting the problem or even ignoring the problem, President Kelly chooses to run away from the problem. I keep telling you guys, this league is not ready for prime time. The WNBA is allergic to criticism. They can't take it. They don't know how to handle it. For decades, the WNBA wasn't criticized because no one was paying attention. Now, there are millions of people watching Caitlin Clark, and they're exposing the never-ending flaws in the WNBA. If the president of her own team is unwilling to acknowledge the impact of Caitlin Clark, why in the hell would the rest of the league acknowledge it? I don't get it. This should be so simple. But for some reason, the WNBA just can't seem to get the hell out of their own way. Give me your thoughts on this. President Kelly wants the Indiana Felines to become Apple. She believes the franchise is the draw, the attraction. When Caitlin Clark fans express their outrage, President Kelly runs away from the problem. Why? Could this be Jerry Krause 2.0? Does President Kelly resent Caitlin Clark for receiving all the credit? I talk about the WNBA all the time. I had never heard of Kelly Krause cop until now. Is this another case of jealousy in the WNBA? You tell me. Sound off in the comments below. I'll see you guys later.